It's the JaeTae Show. It's the JaeTae Show. It's the JaeTae Show. It's the JaeTae Show.
Greetings and welcome to the JaeTae Show. Y'all, we're here and we're going to press forward. It's kind of late this evening. It's been a long but productive day. And so we are looking forward to getting directly into crushing. We left off on page 155, and we're only going to deal with 5 pages tonight. And so those of you who have been following along with us, you know we are on a very intense but a very necessary and amazing journey through this book. All right, JaeTae, what do you have on page 155? Your normal is never normal. That's the title.
The first thing I have highlighted is you feel the way you do because you have lost everything that you deemed valuable. That stood out to me.
And I overlooked that, but that when you said it sounded powerful.
And then I have the stage in which God is performing more work on you than you can imagine. Makes you think that God is doing things when you don't think he's doing something. He's the master artist and he's doing things behind the scenes in your life and through your life. You don't even realize it. That's all I have on that page.
After what you read about when you've lost what you deem valuable, I highlighted the next sentence that says, to the vintner, you are the one that holds value. You know, a lot of times we look at the things we have, we look at even others and their contributions to our lives, but we never, or let me say this, some of us are not, we're not made to look at ourselves as valuable and to actually see what it is that we offer, but to read that and to know that to God, it's us. We are the ones who hold the value. I thought that was very powerful and something that was eye-opening to read and actually grasp a hold of. The inner being, your character, that the master holds so dear. So our inner being and our character is what he holds dear. His crushing of those items was for you to recognize that they weren't what really made you who you are. Oh, this is just so good to me. You are the fruit, not the product of your labors. You are still alive and growing stronger. The vintner is not done with you yet. Oh, I tell you, this chapter has blessed me in ways that I cannot put into words. God is performing more work on you than you can imagine, which was the end of what you said about the stage. And it seems as if nothing is being done at all. Says that you're confused and trying to grasp and understand things because it seems as if nothing is being done at all. But just knowing that God is at work and that he is making and molding us. Okay, so what do you have on page 156?
I highlighted the very first 2 sentences. Normally, knowing that you will never be the same and nothing will ever seem normal again. So what do you do with yourself? I highlighted that because when I see it as a grief thing. When a person passes away, you used to living your life with them, or let's say someone that was married for 50 something years and your loved one passed away. Who are you without them? It made me think when I read it, when my grandfather passed, I had moved from the house where me and him was living into the house where my mom is, and I would still go every single day from Kid City on 646, the same route home that I would when he was alive for like weeks straight, because that was just my routine. And I was, when I would get halfway down Highway 3, I would think, what am I doing? I don't live there no more, like he's, but I was thinking, that's what I did for so long. I grew up in that house. So that was my norm of going from Kid City for 13 years down Highway 3 to 214 Namely Street. And I was like, okay, who am I now without this routine? Little things like that. So,
and that is powerful, or the powerful thought, because it would never be the same again, and that is something that I think oftentimes we overlook in life, especially when you consider grief and the people that you were once able to call and talk to when things came up, or just for to celebrate good things that came in your life. That's who was your go-to person. And now you trying to figure out what to do now. And so it's just something to experience the changes of life and to really be able to navigate that. And so what a powerful illustration, JaeTae. Did you have anything else on that page?
This is because transition doesn't feel like it works. It often feels like waiting. I have that once again, just like I said on the very on 155, that although it doesn't feel like it's working, we know that all things work together for our good. That's what I held on to, is that it doesn't matter what it looks like to us. God is working it for our good, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And that was all on that page?
Yeah.
I did also highlight transition often feels like waiting. I also highlighted knowing that you would never be the same and nothing will ever seem normal again. But also highlighted they failed to realize that their movement has progressed. I thought that was powerful, because sometimes we are moving, we are making progress, but we don't realize it. I think about, some of the things that I feel when I come in here, and I had, the house had been the same and things. Now I can say, I can look around the living room and even to this corner to the kitchen that, progress has been made. But even before then, things were getting done, and things are yet getting done. There is progress being made. And sometimes I really believe that maybe it's just an enemy thing. I don't know, but it's an inner thing. It's an inner me thing, because it's me not recognizing those types of things, that yes, progress actually is being made. I'm seeing it, but I'm not seeing it. I'm so caught up on what's not being done, or what's not done yet, or what needs to be done, that I'm missing out on being thankful for what is taking place. Also, the transitory moment of waiting that God, or it's in that transitory it's in that transitory moment of waiting that God is preparing you for the next step. I thought that was very powerful, because we're in the process of waiting on some things. There are some things that we truly believe God for. And even as I read that, I know something that's coming later that I want to share. And the thought of waiting, and then you're waiting on something that you may never get the chance to see. And so I'll talk about that a little later. All right, page 157. He says, a true work is hidden. I thought that was very interesting. Just like in a holding pattern, the true work is hidden. What God is really doing in our lives, what he's really up to behind the scenes and working through these situations and all of this, that's hidden. We have no clue what God is going to do in and through our lives, but we do know that he is working. Destruction comes swiftly on the heels of moving too soon. And so we don't want to move too soon. We don't want to move. You know, I said this before, and I think I don't know if I said it to you, but I just recently said it to someone. I want to say it was you about T-Lock, and someone said to me at a time when I moved to Oklahoma City, in hopes, because we'd established Houston here and we were doing great with True Labors of I am a T-Lock. A T-Lock is who I am. But I felt like Houston was doing very well. I felt like we were established. I knew I'd be back and forth to Houston. I knew that. And so I wanted to go to Oklahoma and try to get that chapter established and really do some groundwork there. And so someone said to me, if you're leaving and this T-Lock Houston is not going to survive. And the sad part is, I don't know what happened, how it happened, if someone actually started doing work to get that disqualified or you know, term members against, but somehow T-Lock Houston fell apart, and even now it's seeming as if it's not something that will recover ever again. But I refuse to believe that, because being a T-Lock is not something that you are able to just take on and take off. Either that's who you are or it's not. Either you're faithful, dedicated, and committed, or you're not. And so just to think about moving too soon, you know, I think because I did end up moving right back maybe within months, did I move too soon because destruction came swiftly to True Labors of Christ Houston? And so that was just a thought.
Okay. Jay, you have to forgive me because I had no idea what you was talking about for a minute. I was like, what is he talking about?
Well, that's okay. Welcome back, JaeTae.
Okay. But I hate to cut you off.
Okay.
But I have two comments to that.
Oh,
Now, in some of my studying recently, I read that apostles plant churches, right?
Okay, an apostle of music, then the planet, and okay.
So you see, so if apostles can plant churches, they're not expected to be at every church, are they? Because they planted it and they put someone in place. That's what the pastors are for.
So maybe that was the problem. I didn't put anybody in place. I don't know. But I get what you're saying. I see where you're going.
Because the apostle planted it, the seed was planted. The pastors and the teachers are now to carry on. Okay. So whether you're in the city or out of the city, that doesn't take away that I am a true labor of Christ.
That's right.
And the second point I was going to say was, like, a supervisor, it cannot hover over you every day at your job. So do you stop doing your job because the supervisor is not standing over you saying, where's your work? What are you doing? So whether you live in the city or not, God's word has to go forth. It doesn't necessarily have to be concerts going on, but there's more work.
There's work to be done. That's right.
There's community service that workers could be doing. There's just meetings, gathering, planning meetings that could have been done. So for a person to say that to you, I feel like it's ignorant, because they don't. I mean, that's just ignorant, because nobody is to be over somebody 24/7 in order to get a job done. You know what I'm saying? Like that's ignorant to me.
And it's sad to say, because especially making known and then knowing that everyone knows the vision of the ministry, which is preferably to become a national choir, where we have singers all throughout the country who are true laborers of Christ. And that's it just is what it is, because it's the name. It's the name. We want people to really be true laborers of Christ, and not because we want them to be, but just because that is something that I think all of us, it's my opinion, it's my belief, my conviction, that all of us, especially if we are believers in Christ and we are workers for Christ, that we should be willing to be faithful, dedicated, committed workers, which means that even those who may not, quote unquote, become a member of True Laborers of Christ, that you still be a true laborer of Christ. And so then if you can identify with that name and that premise, that motto, then why not become a member? It's not much to being a member, except for being faithful, dedicated, and committed. And the saddest part about this ministry that kind of got me is as many things that I know can be expected in a community choir or a community organization, the main expectation that we had was for people to communicate. And sadly, and it's sad though that we couldn't even get that. And it's really sad that it was like begging for people to communicate. Lord have mercy on our souls. His grace, God exercises his grace by allowing us to ferment. Ooh. Part of God's grace is us waiting. I thought that was just something. In the supposed students of transit, so that we might be ready for the next stage. And that's the thing. And I keep on holding on to that we have done so many amazing things over the course of ministry and over the course of life. And it seems like it has just all come to a halt in a season where it should be really moving. It should really be going great, and we should be doing even greater things than we've done before. And it seems like we've come to a screeching halt in so many ways. But if this is the waiting season and we know what we've been able to accomplish before, what is it that God can use us to do in the coming days and years and months? Oh my gosh, just the thought of that really, 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 really just gives me the encouragement and the courage to keep going. On page 158, I highlighted that the disciples thought that Jesus would overthrow their Roman oppressors and set up a new earthly kingdom through which he would govern the entire world. And all of their ideas, thoughts, and hopes for the future were shattered when Jesus died. That brought me to the thought and the premise of our conference. We're planning the Shattered the Cost of a Yes conference. We're currently working on that. I believe, solidified a location. I am so grateful to God now. We're in the process of collecting pictures from our panelists and our speaker to get our flyer done. And so y'all stay tuned. It is coming soon. Stay tuned. It is coming soon. Stay tuned. It is coming soon. All right, so that you can get registered for this amazing conference. But that is the premise of the conference. Oh, God, and I just thank you tonight. I don't know why I'm so worked up, but I'm worked up and I honor God for it because I am grateful. I am so grateful for what God is doing in this season of life and this book. Y'all, I'm telling you, when you have been crushed and you're trying to make sense of it and the things that are going on around you, when you feel like you're constantly being shattered and you're trying to push through in spite of, it is hard. And to read that the disciples, it says all of their ideas, all of their thoughts, all of their hopes for the future had been shattered. And just the thought of that, it's just the thought of that. When you have such expectation, such belief. But what I love about knowing the end of the story is, even though they had this one expectation, they had this one hope that Jesus would overthrow the Roman oppressors and all of that, that was what he was coming to do. What he was really doing, just like it said, the true work is hidden. The true work that Christ had come to do was hidden from the disciples. They were under one impression, but God was up to something totally different. But what God was up to was greater than their expectation. And so I keep thinking, God, I have such a high hope, such a high expectation. I was talking to my therapist yesterday. Oh, JaeTae, I told you to talk first because I would take over, here we are. But I was talking to the therapist yesterday, and I was telling him about the dreams and goals, and that's why I've been kind of cleaning up around the house, because he challenged me just to get it done, get clean up. Your house is a representation of some of the things that are going on inside of you. But I told him about plans that I had drawn, and how some of those plans were such, I was encouraged about those plans because I had the earthly visual of which I'm considering him my number one now, which is Tyler Perry, that I was able to see what he has accomplished, and knowing the plans that I've drawn and things that I've written vision-wise before I ever knew of a Tyler Perry, that something about what God allowed him to do let me know if I did it for him, that dream that is a God-given dream, because it's way too big for you. You certainly don't have the money to make it come to pass. You don't have the expertise. You don't have the resources, nor do you have the knowledge to get it done. And so if it's going to be done, it's a God thing. But to have that kind of thing on your mind, and to know that somebody has accomplished it, then you know this is possible. And so we never know how God is going to accomplish the work that he has for us to do in our lives, but we do know that God is able. And so JaeTae, page 159. Okay, while you're getting it together, we're experiencing spiritual growing pains. That's what this is, okay?
What I have on 159, and just because you lost everything during your crushing in the outer court does not mean that nothingness is what you must anticipate for the rest of your life. That stood out to me is because what you see now is not your ending. What you went through in life does not define you. So before you lose your mind and give up, before you throw in the towel and walk away from your dream, before you let your faith slip away, I suggest that you do something that all of us hate to do. It's something the disciples were forced to do when everything they looked forward seemed to turn to ashes.
What do you do when everything you're looking forward to seems to turn to ashes? Girl. Are you through?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait. That's a good one. You be reading too much of what you're supposed to get a little highlight out of that JaeTae. But that was so good though. Yeah, I had to catch up to where you were, and like, oh wait, because I'm like, golly, that was in there. And I know I read it, but oh wait. The other thing I got on that page is Jesus' time. It says before this, his time in the tomb wasn't permanent. But while he was there, a change was happening in the silence and in the darkness. Just because you can't see it with your naked eye does not mean the master isn't working on your behalf. It does not mean that nothingness is okay. Then I highlighted that what you said. He said, crushing could never be the end of what God has in store for you. I just thought that was so good. And then finally on page 160, all I put was they were forced to wait. I think I often think about, and we ended on 160. So I often think about, I hate being forced to do something. Just like last year, I was forced not to take a cruise I paid for. It's those things to feel forced. And so just the thought of that, and that even in this season, being forced to wait, knowing, it's something to wait, knowing that there are people out in the world who will accept what you have to offer, who will help bring it to pass, that y'all will be able to accomplish some amazing things together, and yet you're in the waiting pattern. You're having to wait. And now that we're 160, I don't remember exactly what I read, and maybe what I read when I got the thought again earlier was what it was. But anyway, what came to mind for me was maybe I'm thinking about things not being, the true work is hidden, that it may not be meant for me to be the one to carry out the dream or the vision or the goals. It just may not be. Maybe it's for me to keep talking about it and somebody else carry it out later. And that's why so many mistakes were made earlier to disqualify me so that I cannot be the one to do it. I don't know. I know God still can. I trust him. I know he's able, and I'm a willing vessel for him to use. But it's quite possible that it's not me who's going to build T-Lock to what it's supposed to be and take it to the next level and become that national choir. But whatever it is that God would have for me to do while I'm still here, I do want to be guilty of that. I do want to be guilty of being submitted and surrendered to whatever crushing is taking place now and coming forth. To be submitted to this fermentation process. As hard as it is, it gets hard. Sometimes I just sit and get overwhelmed because it just seems like everything is saying give up, but I know that God is saying live. God is saying keep going, and he's saying that audibly and very loudly because still here. And so, JaeTae, did you have any final words about what we've read today? Anything that you've heard that you want to address or comment on?
The comment that you just made about maybe T-Lock needs to go to somebody else. So however you said it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else will see the vision. Come, fulfill or whatever. What I think about that is, when I started missing pieces, I just knew by now it would be bigger because it's something that's needed, around the world. And it's just, there's not one person in this world that can say that they don't have something that is missing from their hearts, or, that has burdened them down or something like that. And because of, I'm gonna say now, people, places, things has discouraged me, and I let it sit in. Even though I did conferences for the past 2 years, I haven't done anything with missing pieces. Like I was gonna do a walk in October, and because of the now, people, place, things, I got discouraged and didn't do it. And, I felt totally convicted. This morning, I went to a women's brunch or something, and the lady asked us to send in one word about us once we registered. She's like, send in one word that describes you, the first word that comes to your mind. And I was worried because when she was reading it all, she was reading to everybody word, and I was like, I don't get my word yet. I was like, maybe she didn't put it in her little thing that she did. And it was the very last word that she ended with. And the word that I sent her was overcomer. And when she asked for it, I really didn't know why she asked for the word. She just said the very first word that comes to your mind. That was just, I think I was reading something and I was like, okay, overcomer. But when she read it and she described what an overcomer is through Webster Dictionary, through the Bible, and then through who we really are, I felt convicted. Because if I say I'm an overcomer, if we are overcomers and God has given us things, who are we to mishandle it? I've mishandled the vision that God has given me because I felt like I wasn't enough to handle it. But if God gave it to me, I didn't give it to myself. He gave it to me. He put it in me. Who am I to just toss it off and just say, I'm not going to do it? So I'm going to end with, if God has given you something, a word of encouragement, go with it. No matter who supports, no matter who's there, no matter who even cares, because God will bless you for being obedient. And that's something I've been trying to hold on to all day. It's just like, just be obedient. Just be obedient. No matter what, just be obedient. That's all I have.
What a powerful word, JaeTae, indeed, because there is just so much. I think about how much we would have accomplished had we not let what has discouraged us or disappointed us cause us to slow down or to back up. Because I've been on a kick this week for some reason about thinking about younger me and being grateful. And I've had these thoughts in the past, but it's like it's more present now for some reason. Thinking about the things that younger me put in a position and put into place. You know, as I was going through those boxes of things that we have amassed, all those CDs, all those T-shirts, all those books that were in there, and so many other things that we've gotten, and I haven't even gotten into the totes in the room. There are so many things that we have put into place for our lives to be as successful and overcoming as they are now. And so the charge for us now is to build on what younger us established. Period and point blank. It's just like the same thing with us continuing on with schooling right now. As hard and challenging as that can be, just the mental side of it, at least for me, just to keep going. So I have to, because younger me, even though younger me was just a few days, months, years ago, starting back to school, look what he put in place for me in this moment, in this season of my life. And so it's not like from here with missing pieces, here with T-Lock, or here from any of these other things that we're totally starting from the ground up. Yeah, now, you know, finding members or doing all those kind of things, but the foundation has been set. We know what the models are. We know what the vision is. We know what the purpose is. And so it's just doing the work that is required, which is continuing to network, which is continuing to put the word out there and sharing that we are moving forward, that God has given us a vision. And it isn't, you know, one of the things that the therapist did say is, as you do what it is that God has for you to do, because he didn't give it to anybody else, as you do it, that those who are supposed to come alongside of you and to support, those who are supposed to be a part, those who do have the missing pieces, that they will come and that they would get what they need, and then you will see that what you were given by God was given for a purpose, but you got to do the work. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to us. And that's the hardest thing, is because we know that the work that we're meant to do is not something we can do alone. It's not something that we're supposed to do alone. I'm not the only T-Lock. You're not the only one with missing pieces. And so we know those things, but it's work that, as the founders, as the leaders, that we're responsible to do, period and point blank. And so the prayer is, Lord, help us. Please help us to get this together so that we can do all that you have to get the glory out of all of this. There's a reason. And, you know, I often think too, we're so concerned. It's when we share these things, I think about this, we're going live. A lot of my concerns And maybe this is part of what the therapist was saying, because he sent me a wheel and saying, talking about things that are you focused on things that you can control or things that are out of your control. And the thing is, yes, we are concerned about these things, but the truth, the truth, period and point blank, is this is God's stuff. And we've said that before, we've settled on that before. Missing Pieces belongs to God. True Labors of Christ belongs to God. The JaeTae show belongs to God. The J Bass Today show belongs to God. J Bass Ministries belongs to God. The J Bass Songbook belongs to God. Every piece of those puzzles, every aspect of those ministries belong to God. And so, we're not on here and don't get upset and frustrated a lot of times about the things that are our personal lives. We don't talk about that. Those are not the things that are really frustrating us, because nobody, I mean, would love a love life, but ain't nobody concerned about that. We're not out on a Saturday night. Here we are on the JaeTae show filming, and we've been pretty much at this house working on homework or around the house cleaning all day long after going to funeral and conference earlier. That we've been working, we've been doing things that are productive and in this quote unquote sanctified life of holiness. We're not out trying to do all these other things. It's just not even in our heart. I love when people talk about me because of the fact that I don't know a secular song, but it's not because I had an intention to quote unquote, I'm so holy I can't listen to that. That was not it. If it's on and somebody else is playing it, let it play. I'm just not going to put it on my own radio. I'm not going to put it on my phone. I have no desire to hear it. It's just because I just simply have no desire. Even growing up as a teenager, I would cut on my church music. I would put on the mass choir and listen to their music. That's what I would go and purchase. I wouldn't go and I wouldn't turn on the radio to hear a secular song. That just was not me. It's just not me even now. And so that's just my life, and that's it now. And so to know and to be able to look at that kind of pattern and know that God has set you apart, surely the crushing that we're experiencing for something, we're experiencing the crushing for something greater. Surely. I have to say it a couple of times, because even in my inner man sometimes struggles with that, because this waiting is not easy. But the word of God says that they that wait, there are some promises set aside for those who wait on the Lord. And if we just trust him and lean not to our own understanding, because sometimes our own understanding just is bad. I don't understand. I have no understanding. So I really don't have no understanding to lean to. I don't have any understanding to lean on. Other than if God don't do it, it's not going to be done. That's my understanding. But in all thy ways, in everything that we're doing, to trust him, everything that we're believing. I've shared this, and we're getting ready to log off, about this season and semester of school. We're finally writing our final papers, and everything I'm writing about is centered around the power of story. And my argument is, and I'm supposed to make it even deeper because the teacher is saying it's too vague. But it centers around the power of story and how powerful stories really are in our lives. We learn, we move, we operate by stories, whether we believe it or not, because you could tell me something, but I'm processing processing your story with the story based on what I've the stories that I've heard before this, I'm processing with the story. Even I've used this analogy, and probably was on this last JaeTae Today show, about touching a hot surface. Well, if I go in there, you tell me not to touch the first time, and I go in there and the stove hadn't been used, and I touch it, then I don't believe what you said. I don't believe it, because I touch it and it just feels cold. I feel metal. It's cold. What are you talking about? But then you just finished cooking, and I go back in there and I touch again, and I boing myself. Well, then now that I've been boing, then now, and when I touch and I back up like that, I'm telling myself in my mind, oh, that's what hot. If I never experienced hot, oh, what was that? That's hot? Oh no, I don't ever want to touch that again. I never want to experience that again. I will not touch it again at this point. But those are things I'm telling myself. That's hot. I'm all this processing in my mind. Those are the stories filtering through my mind. I'm trying to filter through that experience, but it's also through the thought of stories, being inundated. Not even as much as we hear from the outside nowadays with TV, social media, with other people talking. It's what we're telling ourselves. What is it that we're believing? What is it that we are ingesting and taking as real and trusting? That makes a difference in our life. That's why, for me, when I read Crushing, okay, hi, Bishop. When I read Crushing, we see Bishop, but we can't get Crushing, and there it is. You can see a tincture of it. When we read this book, being able to add this narrative to all the other narratives that have been trying to fight in our lives to take the lead spot, the lead place in our mind of belief, to take this and say, you know what? That's what God is doing, versus what I thought was he was getting ready to kill me and let me die, and I'm about to be done. What he's doing is I was crushed. I was hurt in the crushing. I have been buried. I have been planted. But what he is doing, he planted me because I'm getting ready to sprout and bring forth more fruit. I'm being in a fermentation process, because he's making wine out of the juice that was crushed out of me. And the things that I did lose, because the truth is I did lose some things. Those things didn't matter as much as what God is getting ready to do. And so to be able to trust that in our lives, that's the hope we want to bring to you all as we are gathering that hope. Part of the JaeTae Today show motto is I am encouraged to encourage. And because I am the JaeTae Today show, I have to carry that everywhere I go. And so if we are encouraged by this book, how dare we not share it with you? How dare we get this kind of information about being crushed and not disseminate it to those of you who will or may hear this? It looks like people don't listen, but the truth is we know somebody is. And so the fact that you may get this far in the video and understand that you're being crushed for a purpose, and if you receive that, it was worth it. It was worth it. And maybe you too can grab a hold of some of this strength that we need in order to keep going. So God bless you all, JaeTae. I've said a lot, and might have made something else come up for you. Do you have any final words?
I don't.
Oh. Okay. Well, we want to say again, congratulations to Sister Charlotte Cook, who won the 50/50 fundraiser today. I want to thank you so much for your support. Thank you to every person who supported it. It looked like JaeTae was about to win, and then it looked like it landed on Angie, but when it came up, it said, congratulations to Charlotte Cook. So congratulations, Sister Cook. And then I want to thank you again for the extra special blessing, because there are some reasons. I definitely thank you for that. But thank you for believing in what God is doing in and through my life and music ministry. Again, thank you to all of you who supported. We are going to do it again. Stay tuned. I'll be making up the flyer and putting it out again really soon. Also, I do want to share with you all that on May 23rd, I am preparing to take birthday pictures because I'm going to do a special presentation on my birthday, and it will feature those of you who come and take a picture with me. It's going to be individual photos, so you don't have to come and be there long. Now, I am telling you, I'm having a custom suit made. I'm going to be made up. I'm going to be dressed. So if you want to dress up and just come take a picture with me, if you want to come in your flip-flops, your short, and your t-shirt, your what?
Your t-shirt.
Your shorts and your t-shirt, you are more than welcome to come and take a picture with me. You are more than welcome to come. I just want you to come and take a picture with me.
If you're going to be in your suit, suited up and booted up, do you want somebody sitting next to you in a t-shirt and a short?
If that's how they feel. I'm just going to be the one feeling like a suit and tie and all that kind of stuff.
Make the whole picture nice.
Whatever, JaeTae can do what she wants to do when she comes into the picture. I am saying that you are, because these are my birthday pictures. Y'all can wear whatever you want to. Now, it's going to be on you, because I'm going to be decked. So I planned a nice suit, or I designed a nice suit. But I definitely look forward to that. And again, on June 8th, we have finally solidified a location. That information will be released to you within the next week prayerfully, so that you can make plans to be a part of the Shatter Cost of a Yes conference. Oh Lord, it's something about saying yes to God and then getting shattered. And as I shared before, for anybody who would try to come against that title, that concept, think about Jesus. Jesus was literally shattered as a direct result of his yes to come and to die for us. He was shattered in so many ways. He was shattered before he even died, because they talked about it. It was so much that he endured, even in his ministry, the things that they were doing and saying and coming against him. That's shattering. You know that you're doing the work of God. You know that people are being blessed by the ministry that God has placed in you. And yet you're having to face all of these additional, seemingly unnecessary things. That can be shattering. And we're striving to be more Christ-like. We're striving to be like him, to have his mind and those kind of things. But the truth is, we're not there yet. And so we're human, and our humanness gets affected by the things that humans, with our emotions and all these other things that make up our humanity, get affected by. And so God bless you all. Those are my announcements, and I pray that you will join us. This is a new season. Some of the things that we put off, we're putting back on again, because it's just time, and we cannot allow those of you who won't support to hinder us from doing what it is, because we do know that there are those who will support. So God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the JaeTae Show.
Have a good night.
It's the JaeTae Show.